Oh man, so things were looking good for FANTOM until Jerome Powell sent us to the downside. What is next for FANTOM? What has just happened? Where do I think it's going to go? We're going to take a look at the charts. But first, guys, if you don't have yourself a VPN provider set up and you're trading in crypto, you're investing in crypto, you're staking, you're playing around in all these different things, guys, you're missing out. Make sure you click in the link in the description to get yourself set up with a VPN provider. I personally use NordVPN, link in the description. They're offering up to 70% off on a 2-year plan, and they're going to give you an extra month in there as well, just for the subscribers of this channel. So make sure you check those guys out. I personally use them, and it works a treat. Super easy to use, straightforward, and pennies for what you're trying to protect, right? When you're trading so much in crypto and investing, you can't be too safe. So let's take a look here at FANTOM, because FANTOM here, guys, has got rejected from its W pattern, right? So remember, we were forming this W pattern, nice W shape between our support and resistance line. This perfect W pattern. You had a low and a higher low at a different support level, coming to a neckline, which was an important neckline, again, on another one of our support lines, and we're expecting a nice breakout to the upside. Now, I presented this to you guys during the week, but naturally, I said to you guys, we must be crazy if we think that's just going to play out, right? And any person showing you TA in this kind of an environment and saying, oh, it's just going to play out, it's a W pattern, don't worry, start trading that, put 100x leverage, you're going to get yourself burnt, guys. So not financial advice. I said you need to wait for the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, and that is why we had this sideways action, waiting for him to start speaking. And look at this, guys, within this 4-hourly candle, you see that? Let's go into the hourly to make this a little bit clearer for you guys. Let's see. There we go. Oh, see, it's even within that 1-hourly candle as well. So basically, in that candle there, in this wick, is when the Fed chairman was starting to speak. Well, actually, the statement came out first at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and the statement was quite good. It was quite benign, right? They didn't announce any interest rate hikes. He didn't mention any rapid shrinkage of the balance sheet. And so the market took that quite well. Bitcoin ran up to 39, and you could see here, as soon as Bitcoin was ready to go, just like we said, that elastic band, guys, look at who was eager to go. FANTOM was eager. It was super eager. It was at 260, wicking up to 260 here, and it just wanted to run straight to $3. It just wants permission from Bitcoin. Please let FANTOM go. Stop holding FANTOM hostage. But no, Jerome Powell started speaking in his Q&A session. In his Q&A session, he started talking negatively and hawkishly. Not negatively, but hawkishly. Hawkishly means he's more likely to increase interest rates. Now, we already know he's going to increase rates in March 16th. He made that more clear. But what he didn't dispel were the rumors that it could be a double hike. A double hike meaning 50 basis points instead of 25 basis points. This is really important, guys. I know we're sat here looking at FANTOM, but you have to follow the chain of command. FANTOM is looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is looking at high-risk stocks such as the NASDAQ and the low caps, Russell 2000, right? It's looking at the wider economy. And the wider economy is looking at Jerome Powell, who's controlling the interest rates. He's trying to suck out all the money from the system, which he's just printed throughout COVID, okay? Really important we understand that. And that is why this is happening right now. That is why we can see what we're seeing here. Because as Jerome Powell started speaking, he said the economy was overheating. He said the labor market was really strong and we can afford a decent hike in interest rates. And then the market got a little bit spooked. But what's the reality of it? Well, the reality of it is it's not actually too bad. Right? I think the market, having digested this from yesterday, you can see Bitcoin is sat, if you haven't watched my Bitcoin video from a few hours ago, go watch the Bitcoin video, but Bitcoin is sat at 36,000. It's not as low as 32. It's not fallen lower to 30 or testing the 29, God forbid. So things are looking okay. And if we draw this, let's draw this quick parallel channel and we do this from here. We're creating higher lows and higher highs, right? Things are looking okay here. We're heading in the right direction here on FANTOM. You can see similarly on Bitcoin, we're trending up. This is a higher low. And here on the hourly, we're starting to make some progress. But the reality is what is the long-term view on this? What is the long-term view for crypto and therefore FANTOM? Where do we think this is going to go? Well, firstly, let's take a look at the short term. And then what I'll do is I'll zoom out till we get to the weekly and get a bit of a longer-term picture here on FANTOM. And you can see here on the short term, guys, we obviously got rejected from our W pattern. That was the 237 mark, which we had drawn out. You can see we had one fake out. We had two fake out on the run-up whilst the statement came out. And then when Jerome Powell spoke, we got sent back down. We picking up some support from the 208 level, which you can see we managed to bounce off of it. We're coming back down to test it again. If we fall lower, we need to look at 194, where we picked up some good support from here. If we fall lower than there, that brings you to the bottom of the wedge here, which is at 1.8. Okay, so that's what we're monitoring right now here on Phantom, but it's going to depend on where Bitcoin is going from here. So we're seeing some relatively good strength here from Phantom. Let's face it, this is some good strength here to be creating higher lows and, you know, not falling down to 165, not even once, even when Bitcoin was precariously at 32 and just about managed to turn around before 32. Phantom held up pretty well, right? The lowest we saw was a retracement down to the 179 level. Now, let's make this a bit more evident, right? Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's open up our daily. Let's tighten up our timelines. And let's do this. So if we measure roughly the Bitcoin retracement from top to bottom, we know that we've seen a 50% retracement in Bitcoin. Now, let's go take a look at Atom, right? Atom was one of those that fared up pretty well. One of the ones we cover on our channel. And if you look at the retracement to where it is now, you're looking at 32%. Let's look at Cardano. Okay, so Cardano from its highs, if we take that retracement to where we're at, 51% retracement, guys. If you take it to the lows of where it was, 70% retracement on Cardano. Absolute battering. We'll come on to Phantom. Let's take a look at Solana. Okay. Let's take a look at Solana. 65% retracement, guys, on Solana. Let's take a look at Algorand from the peaks. Well, that was a bit of a scam week. We can't take that one. Let's take that from here. And we'll go all the way there. 63% on Algorand. Let's take a Luna. We know Luna's done pretty well from its highs. Luna would have held up pretty well as well. There you go, 42%. Okay, so now we can see. Let's take a look at Coty as an example. Coty from its 60 cents high all the way down to where we're at, 58, or call it 60%. So suddenly, guys, we can see that there's a theme here. Because let's just do Phantoms because we didn't finalize that one before I tell you what my theme is. Phantom from the highs, you're looking at all the way down to 38%. So straight away, guys, you can see a theme that a lot of these coins were getting absolutely battered whilst Bitcoin has fallen. But a few, which we covered here on this channel, namely Atom, Phantom, and what was the other one? Luna managed to hold up really well because that is the theme. That is a narrative we've been speaking about on this channel for a while, which is the layer one solutions and Atom as the interoperability play. They had great strength in the market and therefore they didn't retrace as much, which is really interesting. You would expect the ones which ran up really fast, which were all three of those, to retrace a little bit more, right? But it just goes to show the strength in the market right now. People are finding it hard to rip the Phantom coins out of people's hands right now. And this is a really strong hold up given where Bitcoin was. It really was precarious and continues to remain precarious, but Phantom is showing really good strength here. Now, let's look at a few fundamental things. Let's not forget this, right? We mentioned this here a couple of days ago. Grayscale published their assets under consideration for this year, and you can see in there is Phantom. Now, normally this acts as a precursor to us seeing some of these coins on Coinbase, right? Because Grayscale is one of the custody partners. We know they work closely. Every other asset which Grayscale has in the family is already on Coinbase, so this is a great clue for us, and I think it's inevitable, guys. Let's head over to DeFi Llama. We're here, sat up fourth now. We've lost one position to Binance, but how can Coinbase not be listing this protocol is beyond crazy, and surely it's a matter of time before they list it and it becomes an easier on-ramp, because the reality is, for a lot of the users here in the UK, for example, it's quite difficult to get Phantom. I have to buy USDT and transfer it across into the likes of, say, a Binance, because Binance aren't taking direct deposits anymore, just in order to buy Phantom, right? So there's a couple of frictional aspects which are preventing people from buying, and no doubt that's happening in other territories, and just having it on Coinbase, trust me, will increase the amount of money flowing into Phantom, not just for owning it for speculation, for people who want to use it, who want to stake, who want to yield farm, particularly if we're going into a sideways market now for the next 60 to 70 days leading up into the next Fed meeting and the interest rate hike on March 16th. Then people are going to be flowing into high yield earning products. And that is where Phantom really does thrive in the DeFi space. So don't be surprised to see us reflipping Binance very shortly. Naturally, this was going to lead to a bit of a cooling off. There's been a bit of a drama around Daniel Siesta on Twitter. I've not been monitoring it too closely, which may have led to some of this sell-off, as well as the fact that obviously Andre Cronje and Daniel Siesta have stopped their, they've taken their snapshot of their solid token airdrop, and therefore some liquidity, as we predicted, will start to flow out for those who only locked money just to see if they got some of that airdrop, okay? That's perfectly normal. We're still here fourth above Avalanche Solana. No doubt we'll flip Binance Coin here shortly in terms of total value locked, because it's just such an attractive platform for DeFi. So from a fundamental perspective, everything is looking still very good. Now let's flip over to the daily and bring out our EMA ribbon. We will see that we are still actually forming, we're still bearish, right? You can see we run up, and then when the Fed talk was happening, it looked like we were going to flip our EMA ribbon with this big wick and close back in the positive, back in the green, back bullish here on our EMA ribbon. But no, we got rejected back down to the downside. So we're going to have to pick up some support from some of these levels. Whether that's 208 or 194 will depend on the wider market before we can then see whether we're able to get the strength to turn this back to bullish here on the daily. But looking at the weekly, this is what's just phenomenal for me, guys, is when I look at this weekly chart, and let's see if we can put the Bitcoin one next to it. So let's bring our Phantom one across, and let's see if I can bring this one to be Bitcoin, and I want you to be the weekly as well. So let's take a look at this weekly chart on Bitcoin, right? You can see here, if I bring out the EMA ribbon here, you can see Bitcoin has been bearish for a sustained period. Big retracement to the downside, very extended to the downside from its EMA ribbon. But look at Phantom. Despite that, you've got a small market cap, relatively altcoin, still not even penetrating the first line on its EMA ribbon. This is just phenomenal strength, and I can't justify or know why this is happening. This just shows its super strength. Still a higher low. I mean, if you look here on the weekly, nowhere near testing its lower low of 1.24. Bitcoin's really close to its, right, at 29, which is why the market is fearful, but nowhere near. Which just goes to show you how much strength is in this market. And I continue to maintain that if Bitcoin gets going here, if Bitcoin can find its catalyst to the upside, then we can start to see a lot of our altcoins moving. And we had an interesting question from Ian in one of the previous videos, long-time subscriber, who commented on the Bitcoin video earlier on in the day, and he said, what are some of the things that can get Bitcoin moving, right? We're talking about we know what the negative catalysts are, but what are some of these positive catalysts? What can actually get Bitcoin to start moving to the upside? Well, my response to him, you can go see it in the comment section, is right now, the majority of the catalysts for Bitcoin to move to the top side are not Bitcoin-related catalysts. They're wider market-related catalysts for the market to turn risk on. The biggest things that can happen for Bitcoin to move forward from here is for the market to turn more risk on, okay? Now, Bitcoin-specific events are things like countries adopting Bitcoin, right? Just like El Salvador did. Could other countries adopt Bitcoin? That will help Bitcoin move to the upside, right? Do things change with infrastructure? Is there better infrastructure on-ramps so more people can buy crypto? That will help Bitcoin. More institutional adoption? That will help Bitcoin. More companies accepting Bitcoin payments? That will help Bitcoin. More institutions and companies holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets? Those things will help Bitcoin. But really, the reality of the situation right now is there's uncertainty in the wider economic market. So we need more certainty. So things such as inflation inflecting down will really start to help Bitcoin. If we get an inflation figure showing that the market's cooling down, that can really improve things for Bitcoin. If we see that supply chain issues are starting to improve, that could help Bitcoin. If we see that companies are reporting good earnings, particularly growth stocks such as Tesla and others, that should help Bitcoin hold up. We got good earnings yesterday from Tesla, but still the stock market punished them, interestingly, because that's the type of market we're in right now. So we need to look at the wider market. We need to look at the situation around inflation and interest rates and understand that right now, Bitcoin is behaving as a typical risk-on asset, okay? It's not acting as the gold standard anti-inflation hedge right now. No. It's acting as the typical risk-off asset. How Tesla's being treated, how high-risk growth stocks are being treated, is how Bitcoin is being treated right now by the institutions. I'm not saying there isn't a loyal base of people who believe it's the gold standard, and I think that's partly why we're managing to hold 32 so strongly, is the bottom layer of hodlers, the true hodlers, the long-term supply, do have it in cold storage, do have it locked away. But we've got to understand the top layer of cream, which help us run to 69,000. There's a lot of people in there who are treating Bitcoin and were holding Bitcoin as a risk-on asset, willing to ride the wave of green when the market is looking good, when money is being printed, when the economy is looking good, okay? So really important that we understand that. Great question, Ian. Thank you for that question. So there you have it, guys. That is what's happening with Phantom. That is what I expect to see over the next 60 days or so, is a lot of sideways action, a lot of tentativity, a lot of nervousness, and we can take these opportunities to build out our positions, to build conviction, to do some staking and yield farming if that's what you're doing, and really just take time to further look at which coins have retraced heavily. And for me, in my opinion, Phantom is not one of those. Which ones have really retraced a lot, like we just did that quick exercise there, and look at saying, okay, if any of my convictions changing in those projects, because if they're 60% down, they're looking juicy to me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget NordVPN, link in the description. You've got to get your VPN provider set up, guys. I don't want any of you risking your security for the sake of a little bit of money setting up your VPN provider. So check out the link in the description. Coupon code is OHMAN. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next one.